This is going to be more of a Marvel-centric episode today. We're going to jump into the recent episode of X-Men '97 that's available on Disney Plus, and then we'll jump into Spider-Man: Brand New Day. There will be some spoilers, so if you haven't seen Spider-Man: Brand New Day, pause this, go see it in the movies, come back, finish listening to it, and let us know what your thoughts are about it. So let's jump into X-Men. X-Men '97 came out this past Wednesday. The episode title was "The Dead Man's Hand." Kareem, what was your thoughts on this recent episode?
Um, so it's interesting because I have thoughts on the episode if I were to take it as just a separate
Hmm.
episode. But then it also led to me feeling a certain type of way about the season as a whole. So as a standalone episode, the Dead Man's Hand, we get to have a little bit more development with Gambit's story. Him coming back,
Hmm.
one of Apocalypse's horsemen. Role. We get to see what's happening with that. We get to see some of the Thieves Guild. Um, and so, as a standalone episode, it has this enjoyable moments. Um, I did enjoy seeing the character. I did enjoy the action sequences. Um, I did mostly enjoy the resolution. And by mostly, it's like I'm tired of Professor X getting washed. He gets washed like every episode. It's like, come on now,
He's a new Jean Grey.
you gotta give him a little bit more credit than that. Like he's supposed to be the most powerful telepath. I know there's been like a lot of retcons in terms of his power, but he gets washed by everybody in every episode, no matter what domain he's in. And it's like that's a little bit annoying. Where it's like he's just turned into somebody who's just screaming about Magneto, and so that frustrates me a little bit. Where it's like, what is his purpose when everybody can, even in the astral plane, they can just do more than him. But I did enjoy it overall. But then I
Mhm.
thought about it. I'm like, well, there's only one more episode left, and it feels like the season has been all over the place. But it's also rushing through, like in my opinion, stories that could have developed more into multiple episode storylines. Um, and it feels like it's just sometimes like aura farming as opposed to strong character development, story development,
Mhm.
where
Mhm.
people's power levels aren't consistent from one episode to the next. It's like, yeah, it's cool to see Nightcrawler take out everybody, but then it's like, wait a minute, he took out everybody. So how are you going to beat Apocalypse when you can't even beat Nightcrawler? It's just like, so I'm enjoying it. I still like it. I'm going to be there for the season finale. But again, it's like, I don't know if that's an issue with streaming and the reduced number of episodes, where they have to put shows in a certain format. But it's like they really could have stretched this out a little bit more, in my opinion. Without not in terms of filler, but in terms of there's a lot of meat to some of these storylines that they could have touched on.
Yeah, I agree that and we just recently had the playlist up, but it's only 9 episodes in the season. I think back in '97 when they used to come on regular television, I think the seasons were probably twice as long, at least 18 episodes, maybe even 20 plus episodes. So you were able to string out the X Apocalypse and the Horsemen for probably at least 4 or 5 weeks worth of that content. Whereas here it's just like, oh, yep, here we go. Let me give you a little taste. We're gonna jump into Creed's backstory. We're gonna jump into this. We're gonna jump into now Gambit's back, and he's got to get rescued by the X-Men, and I love it for the action and the nostalgia, but I agree with you, Cream, that it feels like you're just giving us teasers, and we have to come to the acceptance that we're not going to get everything fleshed out. Like at the end of the episode, they resolve the matter. Like I think it was last week where Wolverine, Lady Deathstrike, and Morphin,
Sabretooth.
Sabretooth. I'm sorry, no, Sabretooth. They went to a Weapon X facility. They meet some brood. They fight. They get out. No, like this, I feel like that could have been more of a story. And then everyone after that, just everyone goes about their day. Like Sabretooth leaves, everything. There's just, I feel like there should have been more story there. We could have followed them for another episode. What happened in Egypt? That was just like 2 episodes. You give us that, and then everything else is just like you got people stuck in over here. You show us you tease us with X Force a little bit, throughout different episodes, but nothing really, not a lot of meat here. There's a lot of filler, but not a lot of meat for us.
Okay,
Hey,
so
so,
when the show first came out in the 90s, the shortest season had 13 episodes. The longest season had 19.
Okay, so yeah, so twice as like I said, twice as many
Yeah.
as what we had, what we're getting now, and I don't believe that animation has, well, maybe the method of animation has become more expensive. With inflation, everything's gotten more expensive, but I feel like how they're animating things now is just probably easier than what they were using to animate stuff for back in the day. By hand or the cell art or whatever. But I don't know who to blame. I don't blame it on the animators because they're the ones just they're getting the scripts from people up top.
Why don't we just blame it squarely on the company that chose to make it 9 episodes? Because
Yeah,
it's a freaking cartoon. It's not a TV show. It's a cartoon. Cartoons do not do well in short seasons. Like, they're just stupid. I'm sorry.
no,
It's my
yeah, I agree.
opinion.
Like even
Like,
animes are short seasons. It's like you're teasing us with because so much can happen, and depending upon how it's written, it's like you're wanting more. So now we're waiting a year, or like Demon Slayer, you're waiting almost 2 years for another
for
season, another story arc to show up, and it's like Infinity
yeah,
Castle. We're not seeing that anytime soon. It's like,
yeah, yeah.
like in
um,
5 years, in the original run of 5 years, there were 75 episodes in 5 years. If
we've
you were to
gotten
do that, if they were to try to do that now, it would take what, with 9 episodes?
a decade
Just
at least, almost a
yeah,
decade.
like, and
I don't have the patience for
it's
that.
not even
Exactly.
it's not even just the
Exactly.
patience. It's more just like you can tell a story. Like, you don't have to do the, oh, we're only gonna do a few episodes. Like, people can sit and wait for another episode to come out and wait for another episode
Yeah,
because you're gonna just wait like forever for something. You just do the full season. Do tell this. You could tell this whole story. Hell, you could tell this whole comic book art, two of them, in like 20 episodes, and nobody would feel cheated.
yeah. I'd honestly, I would be willing to wait a year, several more months, if that meant we getting a full season. That's not 9 episodes, but I guess people are going to be canceling their Disney streaming services if they don't get that. So I feel like they have the money to do it, but they'd rather string you
Not.
along because Disney's with everything now. Disney Plus got Hulu and all these other things tied in. So I may not be watching Disney, but now I got Hulu. So yeah, I think our attention with the smart technology, our attention spans have gotten shorter. I saw a report saying that after baby boomers, millennials, like the intelligence levels have slowly decreased as generations have gone on. Like Gen Alpha is pretty much close to short bus kind of level. I think that's because of people's short attention spans. Tablets and smartphones are just zoned in. Lack of being out and about. That's a podcast for another day.
Yeah. I think it's the streaming model. I think the streaming model promised us something that at this point in time we're never going to get unless there's going to be a reset.
Yeah.
Is you get to pay for streaming, be no ads. You get to have shows, high quality, watch it whenever you want. It's going to be no fill episodes, still long seasons, and now it's just like
TV.
it feels like it's just a hustle, borderline scam at times where it's like they only put in content out to be able to make money, and then they pull the rug from under you. And I'm saying that in light of why I believe, and we get to the Spider-Man movie in a while, but why Spider-Man and the Odyssey have been doing so well. And they're both pretty long movies.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but I think it's like obviously we're paying to go to the movies, but instead of us being paid and being ripped off, they're giving us an experience in exchange for our money. So I think it's you got to have a certain amount of respect for the consumer. Where I'm not referring to the people behind the show, like the animators, the voice actors, but the people making the decisions. Where it's like, let's just cut this short, let's cut that short. You're trying to maximize profit without giving back the right amount of enjoyment. Like I said, I've been enjoying this season, but Could it be much better than what it is? Absolutely, because these characters have a lot of history. There's a lot of stories that they could dive in. Even the story about the Danger Room. That was one quick throwaway episode.
Yeah.
And, in the comics, it was a multi level thing where it was like, wow, this was really deep when that came out. It was like, this is what Professor X was doing to Danger and the Danger Room for all these decades that they've
Mhm.
used it. Even in terms of the beginning where Magneto is killed, I'm thinking this is going to lead to onslaught because Professor X was in his mind. Maybe they changed that, and there's nothing with that other than Professor X just being washed over and over again. It's like, like there's you have to respect the viewer and the audience to an extent. Where even if people's attention spans aren't there, we all know that there's been a show where you started, maybe you're on your phone, and you're like, wait, what just happened? Let me go
Mhm.
back. And then you put your phone
Mhm.
down because you want to pay attention to it. It's like we're paying for something here to have the subscription. Don't turn, you know, year long storylines into a 30-minute episode and think, yeah, that's all we needed to show.
Yeah, I definitely agree
Even
with you there.
Storm, like Storm has been non existent pretty much once again in ways. But it's like, where is the character development? Where are the connections? There's a lot that can happen. There's a lot of enemies. There's a lot of villains.
Yeah,
I
but
think
even
it's
I think Storm got more burn in the first season when the story with her and Forge and stuff. That was a good episode, or I think maybe it might have been 2 episodes, but that was a good episode. This one, I think they linked up in the past, brought her back into present day, and then they they went out to the swamp and got washed up.
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't understand how. I mean, I guess maybe Storm was pulling. I mean, all the X Men were kind of pulling their punches to not hurt them, but you Nightcrawler came and blessed all y'all. Like
yeah.
he bamfed them all up into the sky and let them fall. Like it was to me, it's like how do you let Storm fall? Can't she fly? Can't Rogue fly? Can't Jean Grey like?
Yeah, like, can she stop his mind before he had a chance to? I mean, there's a lot of people have a lot of powers, and I get it. If they're
I
pulling
think
their
those were
punches,
called
but
those plot armor. So just yeah, and I still go back to at least every episode with Professor X this year shows that he relies on his only ability is the telekinesis, but everybody else got is whatever he got plus one. He goes into their mind and he's like, oh no, I can't.
yeah, like I can't handle this. Oh,
Oh
I
no, damn, this is too much for
right.
me. Let me get out my this.
Yeah,
Like even Danger Room was giving him business. Like you said, Danger Room was giving him business. Like
yeah,
this is not the Professor X I grew up with. Not that he was like going out there leading the charge with everything, but still he was not every episode. Not every episode. It was a big deal to see him get washed. That's how it was back in '97.
yeah,
Like, oh damn, Professor X got it too. Now it's just like yeah, they're just gonna pick
They
up
also,
all they're gonna pick up Hot Wheels later. Let's
yeah,
focus,
yeah. Just
focus on somebody else. Let's move on to Spider-Man: Brand New Day because we can keep ragging on X-Men '96, and then I'm gonna end up hate watching the last episode.
yeah.
Spider-Man: Brand New Day came out not even this week. It came out 2 weekends ago. Yeah, it came out 2 weekends ago. I
yeah.
think it's already made $1 billion in the
Has
theaters,
it?
which is yeah. I think this is probably not, if not the best Marvel opening. It's like probably right under Endgame or Infinity War. So it kicked butt. It kicked serious butt. This let's see.
No, I'm not gonna look that up. Like,
No, but like
because I'm just
LeVar Burton used to say,
busy.
I gotta take my word for it. No, but it was definitely one of the one of the better Spider-Man movies. I mean, we can jump into spoilers. So again, if you haven't seen Spider-Man: Brand New Day, you'd like to be surprised by what you see in the theater, please pause this podcast now. Come back to it after you've seen it. We will jump into spoilers. We will discuss any film that's not available in trailers and TV. And that being said, let's jump into it. Kay, you haven't seen it. Kareem, I think you've seen it twice already.
Hold up.
Yes, I plan on seeing it a third time.
Ooh.
Um,
Now, do you
It's
stay until all the way to? Do you see all the post credit scenes on the second and third turn, or no? You just hop out afterwards.
not the second time,
Okay.
because the second time I was with my son,
Hmm.
and he wouldn't care about the blip on the screen at the end. He was ready at that point, but he loved the movie too.
Good.
So I've
Good.
actually paid for three separate visits to the movie theater for it, but it'll be my third time seeing it. Hopefully
Hmm.
next week. And this is no disrespect to the other Spider-Man movies or anybody else who plays Spider-Man, but this is my favorite Spider-Man movie.
Mm.
Um, that's saying a lot. Prior to
Yeah.
this, it was Spider-Man 2, where I used to watch that on DVD, you know, nonstop. Uh, this is my favorite one because this is everything that I could have hoped for in a Spider-Man movie for someone who enjoys Spider-Man comics and the character and growing up. Just the different, even in the picture that you have here,
Hmm.
there's so many scenes or so many images that's taken straight out of the comic books,
I think I
where
have one of those too. Let me see if I can pull it up here for us.
it's not something where it stays on it a very long time. But
Hmm.
once you realize the Easter egg, you appreciate it because I think that's existed throughout the entire movie. Um, where you have some movies who they've nailed Spider Man or they nailed certain parts of his powers. Some where it's like, yeah, this is a cool Peter Parker. But to have someone portray Peter Parker and Spider Man, which in some ways are two different characters, very well. I mean, he is the best Spider Man and the best Peter Parker. Um, the humor
We
as
jumping
Spider
straight
Man,
into who the favorite Spider Mans are
I,
now.
I, I am because to me it's like when you read a comic book, a
Hmm.
character set in New York City where there's all these other superheroes, they're going to run into each other. So if you read comic books for even a year, you see that happening where somebody shows up in somebody else's comic book unannounced. There's a conversation, they move on. This movie is like that where they're all just existing in New York City. They're not taking advantage of a cameo. They're not, just giving it out to you like, oh yeah, just get excited. This person is in there. They're putting them and they're building them together in a way where it's like they're just existing. Punisher knows Spider Man. He doesn't know who Peter Parker is, but he knows Spider Man. We don't need a long backstory about that. There's a running joke about Staten Island. That's all we needed because it played into other characters, it played into other points in the movie. And it's like, yeah, they know each other. It's New York. It's going to happen. Or the Hulk. Um, Even in terms of trying to pick up where they left off with wiping everybody's memory about who his secret
Hmm.
identity was. To be honest with you, that's the storyline that I hate in the comic books. That one more day where they erase the marriage and all of that.
Hmm.
I actually enjoy this storyline in the movies because I think they gave a little bit more respect to that. But even those moments where it's like he's not only a hero as Spider Man, but he's trying to be the best that he can, even as Peter Parker. And that to me captured the essence of Spider-Man, the everyday person, not the playboy. We don't need another Tony Stark. Peter Parker is his own unique character, and I think this captured that. From the villains, the Scorpion, Boomerang, Tarantula, Tombstone, and here's a spoiler with Jean Grey. I think that was the perfect introduction of her because of what her story was about.
Right. Yeah. I think I agree with you that the movie captured to me, the true essence. If you look back on all of the Spider-Man films that's come out, live action anyway, not counting the animated with Miles Morales, uh, these focusing on Peter Parker, I think this one to me captured the true essence of Spider-Man, true essence of Peter Parker. You get for the comic book fans, you get the Easter eggs early on in the beginning where you get the nods to the popular comic book covers. The one with him web slinging with the guy under his arm, the other one with Tarantula, another one with the guy with the Juggernaut or so crashing through the wall. Even with Tombstone, I thought maybe again through the internet and all the social media and people talking about different characters, you think certain people will have a heavier presence in the film, and it's really just a cameo. And to me, it was still noteworthy, like seeing I forgot the gentleman's name, but he played the actor in Black Lightning, the albino
Yeah,
guy.
Tombstone.
He played Tombstone, and they look good. I didn't have a problem with how he looked, but his appearance was good, and they see him in the first probably 10, 15 minutes of the movie, and that's it. Scorpion did well. I was really interested to see how they would incorporate the tail um, in the film, like how is he going to be using the tail and stuff, and it went well. His fight scenes and usage of the tail was like this is how I'd imagine it would be from the comic books and stuff. Um, the introduction of Jean Grey was a surprise to me because I didn't anticipate Sadie Sink as Jean Grey. I knew she was in the film, but I didn't know who she was going to be. Honestly, it wasn't even. I thought they. I know people online said Jean Grey, but I'm like, how are they going to fit mutants and X Men into this, thinking that she's already a glorified X Man or X person, and she wasn't. But the way they give her a backstory on here gives it some credibility, gives it some weight, and gets the fans who know of X Men or those who are just fans of Sadie Sink interested to possibly see how that maturates into a full-on X-Men movie. Like Kim said before we started filming, I think she mentioned they're going with a younger route. We're not going to see the original X-Men characters, Halle Berry and all those individuals as new X-Men going forward. We'll probably see them in Doomsday, but I think going forward, the new X-Men is going to be a whole new cast, literally a whole new cast of actors and actresses playing these roles. I just hope they don't jump straight into the Phoenix Saga. Please, please, please don't start off with the Phoenix Saga when it comes to the X-Men. But in regards to Spider-Man, this movie to me had it all. It had action. It showed what makes Spider-Man great, how important Peter Parker's is to the character and the personality of Spider-Man. It's not a Bruce Wayne and Batman kind of thing where you can be or a rich playboy during the day, but at night you're brooding and stoic on the rooftops of Gotham. This is a character who is he's down and out. Pretty much, he's down and out all the time. I mean, his sarcastic tone and wit is what he has when he's not masked, as well as when he is masked. I feel that he is probably one of the more personable superheroes that we have as far as Marvel and DC, as far as the main characters. I'm sure there's other ones, but for the main, titular characters of those two publishing houses, he's probably the one that you can see as being more relatable to the common individual. Like we've all pretty much had similar struggles of Peter Parker, trying to find work. Where's the rent, Peter? Those kind of things. The girl that you really like or really love is either with someone else or you're too nervous to even approach her, kind of thing. Like this is something that normal people go through, and we sit to see him on the big screen or in a comic book struggling with that. And I think the way they tied this film in with the ending of him talking with Doctor Strange and the previous film, it worked well. And I think that honestly, if they stopped making Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland, like this could have been a nice ending for him. Like I thought this was a nice way to go out if indeed he does stop doing Spider-Man films.
Clearly, I haven't seen it, and
we know.
Yeah,
and it's not available in the UK yet.
No, it's not even that. I don't even know if I want to.
Damn.
That's a whole other issue.
What was Zendaya do?
Huh?
I said, what was Zendaya do?
Not see it as well. I don't know. She probably only saw it because she's in the movie. Had to go to the premieres. No, I'm just kidding. But in all honesty, it goes back. So I actually have a question for you, Kareem. You said that this is this movie is what made you. Okay, no. Is this the movie that made you think that he was the best of both? Or did you think that before? Because before this movie, that's I'm like, do I need we're gonna get to the whole question of who's your favorite? Because I'm up until this movie, if I'm going by all the other movies that I have seen of different Spider-Mans, just the live actions, because we know what my favorite Spider-Man is, no matter what. But but out of the live actions, I don't feel like, and maybe it's the movie that you would need to see, I don't feel like he's the best of both.
Really?
I think he's a very good Peter Parker. I think he's a decent Spider-Man, but I do not see him as being, again, because I have not seen this movie, I don't see him as being the best of both. So I'm like, is this the movie that made you think that, or did you think that beforehand, or was this like the movie that solidified it for you?
So that's an excellent question. So there's a line in the movie that even though we're spoiling certain characters, I don't want to spoil the line because it's pretty much the question that you're asking right now. Did I think he was the best of both before this movie? No, I did not.
Okay.
After watching this, absolutely, I do. And again, it's not taken away from anybody else's performance. I think it's also dealing with the storyline and the portrayal. Prior to this, Spider-Man 2 was my favorite. The only one that came close was Far From Home because they had all three. Did I enjoy him as Spider-Man and Peter Parker? Yes. After this movie, he's going to have to pull a Hugh Jackman. So he's going to have to play Spider-Man until he's old and gray. In my opinion, like this is he has to be both now.
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, it's like there's obvious changes in the storyline. We all know with great power comes great responsibility, and the variations of that. And that's always been part of his struggle. Um, to be honest, some of the modern comics, I don't like the storyline because they turn him into a man child where he's completely irresponsible in all aspects of his life. Everybody's issue is his fault. I don't like it. I like it better when there was some maturity to the character
Okay.
and accepting responsibility. In this movie, he's focusing on just being Spider-Man. He made the decision to remove Peter Parker out of everybody's life. He's focusing on just being Spider-Man. That's all that he has. It's all that he wants. But it's tearing him up inside. And this is what results in the change in his powers because he's focusing more on being the spider than he is on being the man. And so he's struggling to find that balance. And I think when Spider-Man would put on that mask, like we know when Batman puts on his mask, they say that's his real personality, Batman, not Bruce
Mm-hmm.
Wayne. When Spider-Man puts on the mask, what is the real personality? We know the jokes, we know the quips, we know he tries to throw off his villains with the jokes, but which one is the real face? And it's Peter Parker in a sense, where he's struggling to make that. In this movie, he's probably in the mask 80 to 90% of the time. Um, the jokes are there where it's like you're watching him and you can actually laugh about the jokes without it coming off as cringe or forced. You're like, wow, that's really good. Where he's like, at one point, he's like, do you guys stretch? He's trying to do all these different stretching moves, and then it
Mm-hmm.
breaks out into an action sequence. So he used that to throw them off too. So I think he captured the use of Spider-Man's humor, the use of Spider-Man, how he has to hold back, how he still has to try to do the right thing no matter what, but then the loneliness that he struggles with as Peter Parker, and dealing with the ramifications of the decision that he made, where he realized that I can't keep on along that path. Um, so he had to portray both in this movie. Tom Holland had to portray both in this movie to make it believable, to make you feel it, to make even the connection with Jean Grey real, because Spider-Man can bring out the best of people. Um, One of the comic books I remember as a kid is when Shield killed the child in the comic book Spider-Man, in the Spider-Man comic book. I read this as a kid, and I was shocked, but
Mm-hmm.
it stuck with me because Spider-Man was trying to protect this child throughout the entire comic book. And the kid had powers. He was terrible. Not terrible in the sense of, going out there doing the worst, but they were afraid of him with his powers. And Spider-Man believed he saved this kid from Shield before the comic book ended, and they ended up shooting the kid in the back. Spider-Man couldn't save him. And that's how it ended. And that stuck with me, not because of that moment, because it was shocking, because you think the superhero saves everybody, but because it shows the weight of that responsibility. And I think when movies lose the weight of responsibility or comics lose the weight of responsibility, you don't understand Spider-Man. And he did an excellent job acting. They all did. The entire
Mm-hmm.
cast, the storyline, the writing, everybody pulled it off. Where this was a movie that could set up so many other movies without it feeling like the focus was on setting up other movies. It's like, yeah, this is a perfect setup for X Men. even in terms of Spider-Man trying to control his own powers. But it didn't feel like the purpose of this movie was to set up X-Men. It just felt like a 2.5 hour long movie. Um, and this is somewhat of a spoiler, but when I was in the movie the second time, I could feel people thinking, "Oh, this is the end." They felt a sigh of relief, and they really, I mean, you know what I'm talking about. And then you realize, wait a minute, something happened, something triggers a memory, and he realizes, "Oops, I messed up." And that's when everything else starts taking place, and then you feel that weight where it's like there's no MacGuffin, none of that.
It's like a roller coaster. Like the hype train, takes off of you already know Spider-Man. You see that it starts off with showing you what he's been doing for the past. Actually, he's been. This is I think it's been 2 years or so since the not so much the blip, but since he had everyone forget who Peter Parker was or whatever. So you just saw him, like Kareem said, just a montage of him focusing slowly on being Spider-Man, building up his computer lab in his apartment, fighting crime and stuff. So you get all of that action. You get the introduction of the Punisher, and they going after whoever this criminal is, this person in the tank or whatever. And then the lull of him trying to be Peter Parker, still find Mary Jane and his friend. And then it crescendos again, but you think this is the end of the movie. Like Cream says, like, okay, so that's the end of the movie. Everything's fine, yada yada yada. Then there's a reveal, and it goes up again. It's like it comes in waves, and then then it's finally over. It's like, wow, we just went through a lot. A lot of stuff has happened. Even at the beginning, Cream mentioned that. There's Bruce Banner's in the film. The trailers, you may have seen that. There's a Hulk presence in the movie. So now you got 4 different Marvel superheroes in this film. You got Hulk, you got Punisher, you got Spider-Man, you got Jean Grey in all different periods of their lives. Okay. So it's it's a lot going on. I give the writers a lot of credit for being able to throw these 4 into one film and be able to show us different lights of each individual. The banter between Punisher and Spider-Man was beautiful. It was it kind of reminds me of the banter between Daredevil and Punisher when we were watching Netflix and Disney Plus series with the 2 of them in it. Like Punisher has this way of being the no frills. I don't care about anything else. This is what it is. I can see everything for black and white. There's no gray here. And Spider-Man's the guy who says, look, there's some good in this person. There's don't Frank, put the gun down. let me try my talk food with this individual first. And he's more like, okay, you had your chance. Let me see if this gun can work now. It's a good movie. I still think before this movie, I think Andrew Garfield was my favorite Spider-Man, because to me he epitomized what I saw in the comics. Like Kareem says, just the quick wit, his physique reminded me more of Spider-Man as far as a taller individual, lean and being able to pull off the stuff. Yes, I know he probably has stunt double, but in comparison to what we saw with Tobey Maguire, who was much shorter, Tobey kind of reminded me more of, even though we see his introduction to Spider-Man, his mannerisms, his personality just seemed like he was more aged. Like he was an older guy trying to play a younger, recent high school graduate, college freshman or sophomore. Which at the time, again, we didn't have much to base it on. This is still early 2000s, early 90s with, late 90s, early 2000s with Spider-Man. So we didn't have 20 plus films and TV shows to compare it to. We took it for what it's worth. I think Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man reminds me more of the Peter Parker in the bathrobe from the Miles Morales Across the Spider-Verse. Like he's someone who's been in it for a while. I'm mature enough to do what I need to do to be Spider-Man. I think that's what Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man reminds me of the most. Tom Holland still is very young, age-wise. I think he's not even 30. So maybe 25, 26. I mean, he's still young. He's younger than us, but I mean, he can play a high school or recently graduated high schooler. He's short. He's very young looking in the face.
He's 30.
Oh, he's 30. Okay, I thought he was much younger, but kudos to him. I thought after this movie, I felt strong that he's definitely my Spider-Man. He's definitely, to me, captured the Peter Parker and the Spider-Man characters very well, better than the other 2 had done in their iterations. Granted, this is his sixth movie because he was in Endgame, he was in Civil War, he was in Infinity War, I believe, plus his own movies. So this is what his sixth movie, I think, as Spider-Man.
Six or
We,
wait?
we got introduced to him when Black Panther showed up, so that was Civil War. Then we got
Yeah.
Spider-Man. No, oh, wait, no, Far From Home, No Way Home, Homeboys in Outer Space. But, I mean, we had enough Spider-Man. Home. We don't know. Home. We don't play that part two. Brand New Day. But I mean, that's what I'm just saying. We were introduced to Spider-Man in different parts of his life. And I think we didn't get those opportunities with the 3 Spider-Man movies from Tobey Maguire or the 2, if I'm not mistaken, from Andrew Garfield. While they were decent, most of them were decent in their own right. I think they didn't explore as much as they did with the personality of Peter Parker and Spider-Man as they've done with Tom Holland.
Okay.
With that being said, what are your top 3 Spider-Man films for all 3 Spider-Man actors? What's your top 3 in order of least to greatest? So, do you want to go first? You didn't see this one, Kim. Do you want to exclude yourself from this, or do you still want to give us your top 3?
I can still do my top 3. My favorite is probably still the very first one with Tobey Maguire.
Tobey Maguire. So that's your. But so you're supposed to give me 3, and your third one is supposed to go least to greatest.
Oh,
so your greatest
I'm sorry.
number. So you're doing backwards. Okay, that's okay. She don't listen.
Okay. Yeah, like it's not that it's not that I have a least favorite. It's just like out of, let's be honest. If we're gonna choose, like if I'm telling you my favorite Spider-Man movies of like in general, they're not gonna be the live action ones. They're gonna be the freaking animated ones, and those are the better ones.
I'm sorry, we're doing live action only. Okay. If I would include the Miles Morales ones too, but we're doing live action only.
But so I think just my top 3, because it's not like, because I can say which ones I can't stand, but
you can't stand a lot.
I think I actually like.
Let's want you to narrow it down.
Yeah, no. For me, the Tobey Maguire one, because that's the one that I still think about more than any of the other Spider-Man movies. Like, so that's why that's like my top live action one. Did I like every bit about it? No, but did it feel more interesting and new? Yes. My second is probably it's gonna be the one with the kid. Not a kid. He's 30 years old.
Name about a villain. That might be easier if you tell us the villain was.
The one where it's the Tom Holland one where they're in DC, where they're going on a DC trip.
Far From Home. Oh, no,
whichever one that is.
No. Homecoming. I'm sorry, that's the one.
Yeah.
Homecoming. So.
Which is what? That was his first actual.
That was the first time. He had the gold debate jacket on and stuff like that.
Yeah. So
that's Homecoming.
Because it felt like he really was a kid. Like everyone's saying, like it's the one where he feels like the most of a, like he seemed the most childish in the. That sounds rude.
He seemed the most like a teenager at the time. He seemed
the most like a teenager in that role. So and I really enjoyed that one. Now, the third one, again, this is not saying that I dislike that movie at all. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, but and then Garfield's first one, I actually enjoyed. So I like the first of each of the first of each of their movies. It's just like if I rank their first, it's Tobey Maguire's is probably the best of the first. Holland's first actual was was like the second best of the 3, and then Garfield's was the bottom of the 3. Not that they're like bad movies, it's just
that's what you prefer those.
Okay. Yeah, that's how I would kind of rank them as of like how I feel for the movies, because it's like, what is my first opinion of you in the role? And yes, Tom Holland. Why are they both T's? Like, yo, why is
Tom and Toby?
No. At least Garfield is different. Like, dude, his name is AG. Like, come on. Okay, sorry. But like Holland, because again, his first intro was Civil War, and I'm like, actually, that was really cool. And I'm gonna say I like the Civil War one better than his very first movie. Of his first official. I think the Civil War was like a better introduction.
Mm-hmm. Well, he was
That
also younger then, because I mean, Homecoming. He was only 21 at the time, so he probably was like 19 or
a
so.
teenager.
Yeah, he was
It's like
actually
you
was a
were a
teenager,
kid.
and the Civil War. So yeah.
So yeah, like, but those are my like out of their intro movies. If I rank their intro movies, Toby's the best of the intro. Then Holland is the second best, and Garfield is the third best of the intro movies for me.
Okay. Okay. What about you, Kareem?
So number three for me would be Spider-Man 2. That still has that's probably the movie that Spider-Man movie I've watched the most. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's just before I had streaming the way that we do now. But I still love Spider-Man 2. I think it built on Spider-Man 1 perfectly, which I love as well. But I think this took it to the next level. Great action, character development, and a conclusion. My second one would be Far From Home, because just I mean having all three of them in one movie to me is peak. It's like you got the best of all three worlds.
Yeah,
And to see that dynamic, the interactions, the storyline, um, that has a special place for me in terms of my enjoyment because all the Spider-Man movies I've enjoyed, to have them all in one, come on. And then Brand New Day is now my favorite Spider-Man movie. Um, I think the character development, the acting, the story, the way they've introduced other characters, there was no lame search for something. It was all meaningful and heartfelt. And again, I'm trying to avoid some of those spoilers still. Um, but yeah, I think this is my favorite one. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Again, I can rewatch all of them except for those two. I can rewatch those, just won't enjoy it as much. But if I had to narrow it down to three, I would say those are my top three.
Okay. I feel closely to what you're saying because I think to me of the Tobey Maguire movies, my number two would have been is still a favorite. Him holding back the train, but I think it's a lot of times it's not just Spider-Man that makes the movies for me anyway enjoyable. It's usually the villain, and I enjoyed Doctor Octopus's Doc Ock's um, introduction into this film more so than say Green Goblin or that uh, Part Three movie with with Venom and
doesn't
whatnot.
exist.
It doesn't exist. The movie that we shall not be named. So I think for me, since we're not doing it in order of importance, I think Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire, No Way Home again, like Kareem said, is that you have all three of them, so you get a little taste of all three. You get the multiverse kind of thing introduction, so that's a little sprinkle on top. But then this movie here, which we don't know how it's going to further introduce the other Marvel properties, but I think this one kind of put a nice cap on who Spider-Man is, what his struggles are, with wanting to be normal, wanting to be Peter Parker, wanting to find someone that he can and spend his non-Spider-Man time with, with as Peter Parker. I think this movie, um, Brand New Day, was probably in my top three. I do like Homecoming because I love the Vulture. I love no, you have Batman as the Vulture,
Right,
actually
like
as the actor played
Yeah.
Batman as the Vulture. So I mean that's cool. And then the reveal of him being MJ's father was like, oh no, that to me was like plot twist. Um, they did a good job with the home with Tom Holland's movies. They really weren't that bad. I mean, even trying to figure out how they would pull off the Mysterio and Far From Home was like, oh wow, you know what? That wasn't too bad. It's not what we would have seen from honestly if they had made that kind of movie back in like the Tobey Maguire days, it wouldn't have been the same. I think they did a good job with that. But my three would be, No Way Home, Brand New Day, and Spider-Man. I can't remember if there was a subtitle for Spider-Man 2, but Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire, and Doc Ock.
you know what? So my thing with why I don't okay, I'm gonna say this is it's not that it's dislike them. The reason why I don't like the Tom Holland ones as much is because for me, they're too tied into the MCU. The other two, and this is going to sound weird, they got to have their own world, their own thing. They were not beholden to make it match. They
Hmm.
got to be themselves. They got to be their own little universe. Tom Holland Tom Holland's version, they're really good. But the problem for me is it's too tied into the MCU. It's too much the MCU Spider-Man. It's not
Hmm.
Spider-Man. It's the MCU Spider-Man. So like I would have chosen the one for all with all three of them because that's to me the best version with them. But like because again it's but you're getting an established person who had his own worlds, who got his own thing and got to see it go through. And like each of them, like to me, Tom Holland, as good as his movies are, I think they kind of also they get one. He has better money put towards it, but it also sort of also suffers from being so deeply tied to the MCU. And it's like you're your own person, but where where would he be if it wasn't for Iron Man? Like the other two can say they stand on their own.
Hmm.
He kind of like I'm assuming. Well, no, we know he does like eventually, but like it feels like he doesn't get it. He didn't get to start off as being his own thing. He came in as something tied to Iron Man. And I think that's kind of always like why I hold the other two slightly higher because the they didn't have the luxury of being able to be supported by something that already existed and something that was already so beloved, I guess is the proper word maybe. And it's sort of it's again, it's not I'm not saying it's bad they're bad movies, but I'm just like can you rewatch all the Spider-Man movies, his, except for obviously the intro, without having to deal with the MCU? Like, or does it feel like you need to see parts of the MCU to watch all of his movies?
Um, no, well, I mean, there's always mentions of stuff other outside of New York City events that happen, like the blip or whatever. But I agree that if the movies didn't have to be tied directly to MCU content, I think you'd be more free to do other things. But at the same time, it doesn't give you those tie-ins of being able to cross over with, having Bruce Banner in it or having,
Yeah,
being part of the Avengers Initiative or whatever, like he was, and after uh, Homecoming, like this, it's a gift and a curse at
yeah,
times because you want to be able to just focus solely on New York, but then fans can be like, well, where was Spider-Man during
right.
blah
It's
blah
like well,
blah. And it's like, okay. I mean, that's what happens when you allow all your properties to merge into it. It's not just like you're watching um, a DC movie, say where Superman or the Superman film that comes out has nothing to do with the last Batman film. Like you can have all these other worlds, and fans will accept it. Like you don't need to see Robert Pattinson joining up with Henry Cavill at the times. Like we can accept that this is not part of the same world. We don't need to see a crossover. We don't need to. It doesn't. It's not dependent upon this film is
right.
going to succeed solely if we know there's a crossover. No, so and so is going to show up.
This isn't the
No.
Arrowverse. I'm just kidding. Sorry.
I admit the Homecoming, I had an issue with the Iron Man introduction of Spider Man, and I love Robert Downey Jr. But it was just like the two distinct characters. I know that Iron Man helped him out at one point in time, but he wasn't part of his origin story. But I accepted that. But I would say this is probably the first one you can watch if you've never watched any of the other movies.
Okay.
Um, Now, I think there's some emotional impact from the other movies that you would need to understand initially, like what happened with Aunt May. But I don't think you need to see that to understand the emotional weight the characters are carrying. Because I think this is a movie where he finally stands alone as Spider-Man.
Okay.
Um, Even in terms of other characters being in the movie, like the Punisher, he was great in this. It was
Hmm.
funny. He had some of the funniest scenes with Spider-Man. But if you go back and watch the Punisher show, you're not going to find that humor. You're not
No.
going to find that same character. Even with the Hulk, if you watch the more recent Hulk movies, you won't really see this version of the Hulk. Um, Obviously Jean Grey is nowhere to be found in terms of the current MCU. But the role that he takes on, he literally has to stand by himself, but also realize that he can't do it alone. So it's like a tough balancing act where it's like this is his own world. This is his own street level story that has an impact. And it's hard to describe until you see it. And then you're like, oh, I get it. He's playing they don't even mention Iron Man as far as I can tell. And the introduction of it, you may see it in terms of, well, maybe Iron Man left him some money, left him some tech that he's using, but you don't need that connection to just watch this as a standalone movie. So I would say this is
Okay.
probably the first one where you can just say, I can enjoy it as is. Um,
Hmm.
and this
Okay.
is his Spider-Man movie. He has to live with his decisions. Um, Even Bruce Banner, for example, he had a nice job. He had a nice, hopeful career, and you still feel for him by the end of the movie because you realize, oh, it's not going to be the same for him going forward. Um, so even the touch of the Hulk remembering who Spider-Man was is a really nice touch, and even that ties back to the comics. So no, I think this is probably the first one of Tom Holland's movies where it can stand alone outside of the MCU.
Hmm.
Okay. Huh. All right. You're slightly more winning me over. Like as we talk, why again? Y'all don't see the behind the scenes stuff. Like I've explained very very vocally why I'm not necessarily keen to see this movie for future implications. But okay, because that's always been like my sort of issue with the Spider-Man movies. I've enjoyed them, I have, but it's always been like you're too tied to Iron Man, and it's like you're Spider-Man. You're never tied to Iron Man. You are Spider-Man. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I,
Well, we'll see what
that
they do if there will be another Spider-Man film. I mean, there's always villains that he can do and whatnot. So that's always open. It's not like this movie ends where it says at the end El Fin, like there's no more Spider-Man. But it's like he's done so much, not just for the him as far as Tom Holland. He's presented us as fans with so much of Peter Parker, so much of Spider-Man. It's like, well, what else can he do? But there's much more because there's you get the Sinister Six. And he's like Batman. He don't kill anybody, so they can always just come and get out of prison and form up. So it's not like they these other superhero movies where they die at the end, like the Iron Man films where those bad guys get killed. They still exist. Um, uh, so we'll see. I mean, next movie coming out is Doomsday, and they only have one more movie coming out next year. I forgot what that one. It might be Doomsday 2 or something. But pretty much after Doomsday, there's only going to be one Marvel movie a year. So um, we'll see if
that movie will never
and
be
if and
great.
when some more Spider-Man never shows up. Um, that being said, we'll close the door on the Spider-Man conversation. We'll see what people say as far as what their top three Spider-Man films are on social media. I'll be interested to hear about that. Before we end our podcast, I do want to talk briefly about Grand Theft Auto. It's coming out in November, I believe. Pre-orders had opened up mid-June. They've already made like over $1.5 billion just off of pre-sales. To me, I don't understand the logic of pre-sales, pre-orders if the you're not getting anything physically tangible. Like back in the day, we used to, Cream and I were talking about, you used to physically get stuff, posters, wearable stuff, merchandise, all kind of stuff you can, put around your house, your gaming room because you pre-ordered. Now you pre-order, okay, maybe get an extra skin. It opens up a special shop or store inside the world when eventually you get to play. And I think it gives you 1 month free of Grand Theft Auto Plus, which is I think their version of an online subscription service to the open world. But again, the game hasn't come out yet. So if I was it came out today, I log in today and purchase that $100 version, I'm getting the same stuff as if you would have purchased it back in June. And we have yet to see actual gameplay footage. All the videos and pictures you've seen are of the trailers or cutscenes or artist renderings. It's not in-game in-game gameplay. I think they said the next trailer is going to drop on Netflix. Like, I don't need you to make it like a Michael Jackson world premiere. Just show me gameplay footage. That to me is like it's starting to turn me off. That it's like it's giving, we're going to set you up for an okie doke, banana in the tailpipe kind of thing. Like, we got your money, you're going to get it, and the graphics aren't that much better than GTA 5, or the gameplay, the mechanics are just weird. Like, at this point, we should have seen something by now, some gameplay footage. I don't say you got to give it, it don't have to be a demo that may get leaked. You can do like the E3 thing, just show us someone actually actively playing the first few moments of the game. How does it handle? We don't know. We see more gameplay footage from Wolverine, and that drops next month.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
I know my $80 or $100 won't even show up on their bottom line. But it's my $80, it's my $100, and as someone who's been a lifelong gamer, I this just doesn't feel right to me. It just something feels off about this. I knew when they started delaying it, it was tied into GTA 5 online or GTA Online blowing up, because once you drop a new game, that online community is going to dwindle down and going to start shifting to the new one. And I think they wanted to monetize that as much as possible. Do I believe when the game finally comes out, it's going to be dated gameplay? It's possible, but no, I don't. I think it's probably going to have something that people are going to believe is shiny and new, even if it really isn't. Um, and it's a shame because I was really looking forward to this game. I have not pre-ordered it. I already have Netflix, so I'm not going to subscribe. I've not pre-ordered any game. I have not seen any gameplay for. There are a ton of video games out now that I'm enjoying, that I can enjoy, that if I had more time, I would enjoy. So, my life isn't going to change if I don't get Grand Theft Auto 6.
Right.
I'm fine with that. But I do not like the all digital. I do not like the microtransactions returning to macro transactions. I do not like the way they're gaming the system. I do not like this belief that everything will be in the cloud, gaming. Like, no, that goes against everything that I've ever felt about why I enjoy gaming. Um, and I just think if you were listening to a radio station playing GTA 5 or any other old GTA game, they would literally be mocking what Rockstar is doing right now and what their consumers are doing. It had that tongue in cheek, and some of the humor that is going to fall flat in this version. Because it's like, are they going to make a joke that's going to make the person playing it realize that, hey, I've been duped? No. I mean, so I think some of the flair in terms of what was enjoyable about it is going to be gone. I really lost all enthusiasm for the game, to be honest with you. It's just, it's a
It's too
shame.
much hype. There's not enough. I
Yeah.
mean, you're selling us on what maybe. Like, again, I think if you were to show us some actual gameplay footage, you can still have the pre-orders open from June to November. That's fine. I just want to see what the actual game looks like as opposed to these trailers. Because all of the stuff they mentioned, it sounds like stuff that's already available in Grand Theft Auto 5. I mean, there's going to be a couple now, a man and a woman, whatever, as the two antagonists in the game. Does that mean we can do co-op together, same console? No, there's like, I guess online that me and Kareem can link up and we can cause mayhem. We can do that now in Grand Theft Auto 5. So it's like, what are you selling us? That if you pre-order now, we'll get exclusive shops. So you see me on the street, I got this fur coat on and these kind of gold chains that you can't get anywhere else.
Yeah.
I'm showing my age because I don't care. Unless these items
Exactly.
is like Destiny, where I got this fur coat of healing. So each time someone shoots me with a bullet, this fur coat is impervious to bullets +5. Like I'm like Dungeons and Dragons or something like that. Like, it's got to be something worthwhile for me to have this kind of stuff. Like, I have this car that I got a Lamborghini, sure, it drives fast, but it doesn't. It's impervious to bullets or whatever, or just if they cops put spike strips down, I can still drive a little bit forward. I got run flat, so something more than just visual gratification for me if I'm playing this game. Like, what's the functionality? What's the purpose here? Because we've all played enough RPGs where we put on ugly attire just because it gave us a stat boost. So I lost the allure of playing NBA 2K. Oh, you can get these Jumpmans, you can get this Nike T-shirt. That doesn't help my stats. I'm still a 65 on this. I'm still a 37 on this. It's not boosting my skill levels. I'm just looking possibly different than someone else on the court. If I'm playing a basketball game, I'm playing a basketball game to kind of recreate the NBA. I don't need to build up my character. Let me just play as Jalen Brunson on there and get that Knicks 5.
Exactly. I'm the guy that I'll still be wearing that ugly brown shirt in my player mode, no matter what level my guy is. I'm not buying $20 for a t-shirt, a digital t-shirt for a character that's going to
get
be
those VC dollars, get those VC bucks,
yeah, exactly. And that's where Rockstar feels like that's what someone say, a Trojan horse. It feels like a Trojan horse, where they're predicting, oh, this game is going to cost $100 last year, and now all of a sudden they're charging $100. It's like they're just testing what they can get away with, how much they can mark things up, how much they can charge by giving so little. And I know back in the day when you had to get magazines, or you said, if you played PC, you get the demos with the magazine, that little CD.
Yeah.
But they always gave you something. This is just like, you're going to want to buy it. We're going to take advantage of you because of how much you want to play this game. It's going to be a fear of missing out. And if the game is trash, oh well, it's too late anyway.
Right, like you're not getting your money back if it's trash. Like you
can't get your money back on a digital release, and that's also the thing. Yeah, the Sony's moving away from digital releases. Physical releases. So you go into GameStop, I guess you get a case with just a barcode or a QR code to scan to download the actual game. So yeah, I mean, you're pre-ordering just for something that you may not be able to own after a few months or so, because who's to stop Sony or Rockstar from pulling it from your digital library?
Exactly.
That is kind of my issue. But also it's a digital download, so it's going to be released on the 19th. As it stands right now, it's going to be released on the 19th. How many people are actually going to be able to download on a day? When and will it crash?
Oh, the servers are going to get hit hard. Like that's probably why they're building them data centers. I mean, it's ridiculous how so many people are going to be able to download it. But I think if the pre-orders would have been even better if you say you pre-order it now, you're eligible to play it, a week, 2, 3, 4 days before everyone this version of the pre-order. People probably would have jumped on it. An extra $20, I could play it 2 days, a week before everyone else. That means I could probably monetize that by just going on Twitch or on YouTube and live streaming my gameplay. So it's worth the investment of paying more for early releases. You're not giving me any early jump time. I'm just getting it the same day as someone else. Like Kareem said, I can roll out of bed on the 19th, go on Sony and download it, pre-order it the same day as someone who jumped out of bed 3 months ago to pre-order. Like, there's no benefit for me to do such a thing. Make it worth my while.
Exactly.
So we'll see what Grand Theft does. They got another 3 months to figure things out. I don't know when the Netflix release of the trailer is going to be. Someone mentioned to me yesterday, but I don't know if that's a thing that's going to be happening anytime soon. I thought it would have been something that we'd have seen during San Diego Comic-Con, just because it's a popular event that might have gotten some more eyes on it in social media, but no clue when that's going to even drop. But until next time, we're your hosts Kay, Kareem, and Hanif. Have a good one.